Welcome to the Crypto 101 show, where we dive into the world of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, blockchain, and all the technology with it. Whether you're experienced or a beginner to crypto, our goal is to break down complex concepts and make it easy for you to understand the basics. From Bitcoin to altcoins, we'll cover it all in a way that's easy to digest and provide listeners with the knowledge and understanding they need to make informed decisions and better critical thought. Sit back, relax, and let's simplify your understanding of cryptocurrencies on the Crypto 101 show. Part 8. Bitcoin and Rights. Can it help protect freedoms? Women's rights, LGBTQ+ rights, and civil liberties. I need to start off by saying this is not financial advice, so if you're looking for that, the show isn't for you. The content of this podcast episode is for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed here are not meant to be taken as financial investment or any other advice. This is the episode where we ask the hardest, most human questions so far, not just about economics, but about ethics. Because if Bitcoin is supposed to offer freedom, we need to ask, freedom for who? In a world where civil liberties are constantly under pressure, from war zones to protest zones to reproductive health care and LGBTQ+ rights, can Bitcoin actually be a tool for liberation? Can it help people survive when governments collapse or turn against them? Or is there a darker edge to decentralization, one that makes it easier to fund hate, spread abuse, or undermine democracy? Today, we're not just talking about money. We're talking about agency, safety, privacy, and power. Let's get into it. Question 1. Can Bitcoin empower marginalized groups to resist authoritarianism? The freedom tech argument. Let's start with the big promise. Bitcoin is supposed to be freedom tech, a decentralized currency that doesn't care who you are, where you're from, or what you believe. No gatekeepers, no bank discrimination, no government freezing your funds just because they don't like your politics, identity, or body. But that's the theory. What about the reality? Where it is empowering people, in places like Nigeria during the End SARS protests, the government froze activists' bank accounts. Protesters switched to Bitcoin quickly. In Ukraine, when war broke out, Bitcoin was used to fund both humanitarian aid and resistance. It moved across borders faster than banks could react. After Roe v. Wade was overturned, some privacy advocates started using Bitcoin to fund reproductive care anonymously, to prevent payment processors from flagging them or tracking data. Journalists, whistleblowers, and even LGBTQ+ activists in authoritarian states have used Bitcoin to receive donations, protect themselves from surveillance, and escape financial censorship. So yes, in real, tangible ways, Bitcoin can act as a lifeline when traditional financial systems become weapons. But it's not magic. It's access, or the flip side, Bitcoin is only empowering if you can access it. That means you need a smartphone, some technical literacy, the courage to use it under pressure, and a network to help you on board. For many marginalized groups, especially those already under pressure, those are big hurdles. And that's where the promise of Bitcoin can start to feel like privilege. If Bitcoin is freedom tech, then we have to ask, who actually gets to be free? And there's another complication. In authoritarian regimes, Bitcoin's transparency can be dangerous. Yes, it's pseudo-anonymous, but not anonymous. If someone links your wallet to your identity and that's tied to protest activity or reproductive health care or LGBTQ+ donations, that could put you in harm's way. So again, Bitcoin can be a tool of resistance, but only if used carefully, and that requires education, infrastructure, and solidarity. So what's the answer? Bitcoin can absolutely empower marginalized groups, but it's not automatically liberating. It has to be taught, supported, and protected, not just left to figure itself out. If we want Bitcoin to be a tool for resistance, we have to build the tools, education, and safety around it on purpose. Question 2. How are people already using Bitcoin to preserve rights or survive when systems collapse? Examples: Ukraine war, Nigeria protests, reproductive rights post-Roe. When we talk about Bitcoin as a tool for resistance or for protecting freedoms, it can sound theoretical, like a nice idea that maybe applies somewhere else. But here's the truth. In some of the hardest, most unjust, most unstable places in the world, Bitcoin isn't theory, it's survival. Let's start with Ukraine. When Russia invaded in 2022, millions of people lost access to their banks, their ATMs, their savings, and in a moment of complete chaos, the Ukrainian government posted a Bitcoin address on Twitter. People around the world donated millions, not in weeks, not in days, in hours. And that money was used for food, equipment, shelter, for staying alive. When the global banking system shut down, Bitcoin didn't. Then you have Nigeria. During the End SARS protests, when activists rose up against police brutality, the government froze the bank accounts of the organizers. So they turned to Bitcoin, not to get rich, but to stay funded, to keep the movement going when the state tried to shut them down. Because in a system designed to punish dissent, Bitcoin became the workaround. And closer to home, the US, after Roe v. Wade was overturned, suddenly in some states it became risky to donate to abortion funds, or even to use your credit card to help someone get care. So what happened? Those funds started accepting Bitcoin. Because when financial privacy becomes a matter of personal safety, you start to understand why censorship-resistant money matters. For LGBTQ plus people, especially trans folks, Bitcoin has quietly become a lifeline. In places where your very identity can be criminalized, tracked, or cut off from support, a peer-to-peer tool that doesn't ask for your name, gender, or permission can mean the difference between surviving and not. Bitcoin doesn't see you as other, it sees you as a wallet. And sometimes that anonymity is the only protection a person has. These are real people, not crypto bros, not maximalists, not libertarian Reddit threads. These are human beings trying to protect themselves when the system breaks or turns against them. That's what Bitcoin is doing right now. It doesn't mean it's perfect, it doesn't mean it's easy, but it does mean this. Bitcoin isn't just for stacking, it's for surviving. And if we care about human rights, civil liberties, and the ability to move through the world with some amount of agency, then we have to care about the tools people reach for when everything else is taken away. Question 3. What are the risks? Could decentralized money help fund hate, enable abuse, or undermine democracy? Up to this point, we've talked about how Bitcoin can help people, how it can protect freedoms, provide a financial voice for the unheard, and become a tool for resistance when systems collapse. A flip side to this, those same qualities can also be abused, and they have been. The same censorship-resistant tools that help a protester can help a propagandist. The same anonymity that protects an activist can shield a scammer, a trafficker, or a hate group. Decentralized money doesn't ask who you are or what you're funding, and that's both the power and the problem. Here's some real-world risks and examples. In 2017, white nationalist groups in the US raised money in Bitcoin after getting banned by mainstream payment processors. In 2021, a far-right extremist donated hundreds of thousands in Bitcoin to influencers and organizations involved in the January 6th insurrection. Around the world, crypto has been used to fund disinformation campaigns, hate networks, black markets, and fraud schemes. Because there's no gatekeeper, there's no filter. There's no terms of service that says, sorry, your cause doesn't align with our values. And while that makes Bitcoin a tool of freedom, it also makes it a tool of chaos if we're not careful. There's real ethical tension, so we're left with a moral paradox. Bitcoin gives power to the people, but people don't always use power wisely. It removes control from centralized institutions, but it doesn't replace that control with ethics. And in a world already struggling with disinformation, polarization, and crumbling democratic trust, the last thing we need is financial tools that accelerate division and extremism. So what can be done? What's the answer? Bitcoin's code won't stop this, but we can, by how we design wallets, how we set social norms, how we teach about privacy, transparency, and impact. It's about building better tools around the protocol, not pretending it can solve everything alone. Bitcoin doesn't fund hate, people do. The question is, what kind of people are we becoming? So here's the thing. Bitcoin doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care what you believe, who you love, where you live, or whether you have access to a traditional bank. That's its greatest feature, and also its greatest risk. It means you don't need permission to survive, but it also means no one stops you from misusing it. Bitcoin can protect freedoms, we've seen it happen, but it won't guarantee them. That's on us. It's not about the code, it's about the culture. The world we build with Bitcoin will reflect the people using it. And if we want that world to be freer, safer, and more just, we have to be intentional about how we use these tools. Decentralization is only powerful if we don't abandon responsibility along the way. Thanks for listening to part 8 of the Bitcoin series. In the next episode, we're going to ask the question, can Bitcoin and the environment coexist? We're discussing one of the biggest criticisms of Bitcoin head on and showing the nuance around energy use, climate impact, and mining innovation. Until then, stay curious, stay grounded. I want to be extremely upfront that I try my best to leave all of my opinions out of this. I know this is very condensed and simplified, but I want you to gain your own understanding of beliefs and not be persuaded by me. I hope this helped you gain a better grasp of it. Please remember to share, follow, and subscribe to our mailing list and to your favorite podcast app for future episodes so you can gain more with your crypto knowledge. If this sparked something in you or made you question what's possible, I'd love to hear about it. And if you found this valuable, share it, tag someone who needs to hear it, or just sit with it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Crypto 101 Show. If you would like to join our email list, email us at thecrypto101show@gmail.com. For more helpful tips, subscribe in your favorite podcast app and leave a review so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time.